Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody feeling this morning? Happy writers, I'm hoping. Okay.
In the making. Happy writers in the making.
Happy writers in the making. Okay, great. Yeah. Cool. All right. So let me just find all my little bits and pieces here, and then we'll make a start. Let's see, where are we? Morning, Shireen.
Good morning.
Yeah, I've had a couple of apologies today, so we'll just go with whoever's here and keep going. But today we are on session 3 of our course, and I have two versions of the course, by the way, going now. I have a PowerPoint version and I also have the mirror board version, and they kind of match each other. So you can, dip into the mirror board, you can dip into the PowerPoint. I think what I'll do is I'll just start with the mirror board just to find our way there, and then I'll go to the PowerPoint and run the session off the PowerPoint. So let me just organize myself. And let me find the chat and put the mirror board link for you in the chat. But I'll just show it to you, so don't stress too much about going there. Zoomer. I don't think I'm such a good zoomer. Get share screen. Sorry guys, I'm just organizing myself here. Okay, right. So here we have our mirror board, and just to I just want to show you the whole so that we can then move to the parts again. So I think everybody will remember that we started off here. You can see our mirror board's getting quite big and full of many things. And I'll just start where we started. That was our session 1. And you will remember that what we did here was we spent most of the time working on our tiny text and the first version of our tiny text. Oops, somebody's made that nice and big for us. But anyway, let's not worry too much about it. But that's what we did in our first session, was we tried to kind of work out what is our big idea, our tiny text. We moved from tiny text to abstract writing. And then we started with looking at our first top 3 journals. In session 2, we went back to the abstracts, we went back to the journals, and I'm very hopeful that everybody managed to find a journal or 2 or 3, and we can catch up with you on that. Last time, Gamo also talked you through different types of papers, and I'm going to start a little bit with just catching up with all of you on what type of paper you are planning to write. And then we introduced you to headings and to holding text, which is where we left off in session 2. So today we're into the exciting session, which is the session where we're going to puff up our texts. And I found this beautiful picture of this beautiful dove all puffed up. And when I was looking at why birds puff themselves up, because they kind of get heat and they get warmth and they get strength. And I thought, oh, that's so nice, such a nice idea for our papers now. We're going to get some heat, we're going to get some warmth, we're going to get some strength, and we're going to grow our papers. So puffing up the paper is what we're going to do today. And we're going to start looking at it through looking at a couple of key ideas. One is the golden thread, and we'll talk about that. Then we're going to look at claims and evidence, and we'll talk about that. And then we're going to look at your writing plan and your word budget. And then we're just going to, have to then just go into writing, write, and rewrite. So that's what we have on the cards for today. It's on the mirror board. So you can follow, the main lines of things on the mirror board. You can also follow on the PowerPoint, and I've also uploaded the whole PowerPoint now, which is running from session 1, session 2, session 3. It's here on the mirror board. And remember, if you want to download anything, you just go to the mirror board, you click on it, and you download. You can see the download there. then you'll be able to download that entire PowerPoint and you'll have it on your computer. If there's anything specific you want to download, if you want to download, for example, this, you click on it, and you download. Okay, so the Miro board is like a holding space for everything. And it's also a kind of a visualization of our journey. So it's there for you. And it helps us just to have everything in one place. Otherwise, what happens is we end up with so many emails and we lose half of what we are doing. And you can always come back to it at another time as well if you want to, come back into what's going on there. So for now, I'm going to kind of just close the Miro board. I just wanted you to know that it was there, that we are building it, and that you can download anything from the Miro board, and you can also follow the logic of the course on the Miro board as you come in and out of it. So I'm just going to switch that off for now. And then I wanted to just go into the PowerPoint. Let me find that now. And then I'm just going to work off the PowerPoint because it's a bit easier on the Zoom system, I think, for us to just follow and work together. So let me pull that up now. And we can then move probably from there. Oops, sorry. These things have just got too many little bits and bobs everywhere. Right. So the first thing I wanted us to do is just to catch up with where we are. So what we've been doing in the last 2 sessions is doing a lot of what we call skeleton work or pre-writing work. And that kind of work is incredibly important because it's so difficult to write unless you've actually done a lot of work on, structuring up your ideas and structuring up what you want to do, structuring up where you want to go to with your paper. And also it gives us a lot of space to prepare ourselves to write. And what that does is it gives you the confidence to begin to write, because otherwise one sits and you don't know how to write, you don't know how to start, you don't know where to start. And so it becomes very difficult actually to write. So the pre-writing for any project is very important, and especially for these kinds of academic papers, which are very specialized actually in their own way, because they have limited word numbers and they have, specific journals with specific requirements. There's specific types of papers that we want to write. So it really helps us to do this, background work. And we've done a lot of that now. I'll still do a little bit more of that sort of structuring and background work today until we get to the issue of the word budget. And then after that, I think we can just, pull into the actual writing work, which is the puffing up. I really like this idea of puffing up the text. And to begin then making from the tiny text, now we're going to make the word garden. So we're going to put more and more words together into this structure, this plan, this careful work that we've done to organize ourselves around our key ideas. So that's where we are and what we're trying to do together. So what I wanted to do now is just to check in with all of you and see whether you've been able to get to the point of holding text. And I thought it would be good just to see we're not that many, if we can maybe just open the space, give each other a chance, just give us a quick update from each one of you in terms of like, where are you at the moment with what you're busy with? Have you managed to get that far? Have you got key ideas together? And also just to give me a sense of, which journal are you targeting, so that I can get a bit of a sense of who's doing what, because last time I was also not with you, so I didn't follow everybody's journey. So if that's okay with you, we can just, anybody who's willing to start can maybe just tell us where you are and what you're busy with and which journal are you targeting, and whether you managed to get as far as holding text. If you haven't, you can still catch up, but let's hear a little bit from you. Okay, so let's maybe just, what I'll do is I'll stop sharing for now. And then we just go through a little update from each of us so we can also see who's busy with what at the moment. Anybody willing to come in? Shireen?
Yes, quick. So Priya and I are working together on a paper we have been populating our subheadings, our tiny text, not quite puffing it up, but it's
Have you managed to get to
got holding text.
Lorraine? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we've been working pretty hard on it, and
Okay.
we've decided to submit this paper to Saji, the
Okay.
special edition that you
TESF.
will be. Sorry, yes, the TESF one.
General special
So,
test. Great.
so that's where we're going with that.
Okay. Did you manage to submit the abstract already, or?
I can't remember. Priya, have we done that? I don't think so, but we've definitely finished the abstract yesterday, or
Okay.
polished it up.
Cool. Okay. So
I
I
can't
think
remember when the deadline is.
it was the end of June, but we'll extend it
Oh.
for another few days. And so we'll just send another like alert to everybody. But
All
if
right.
you are aiming for that and you haven't submitted it yet, then please do.
Yes.
I wanted to check with Colleen. Colleen, what's the best way for people to submit those abstracts? Directly to you, or?
Prof, it is
to
better to send them.
Yeah.
It is better to send them directly to me. Should
Okay.
All right,
so-
Charlene. So
Just-
thank you. That kind of evaded us. It slipped past us. So I'll do that today.
I've just
Okay.
put my email in the chat.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
Fine.
Charlene.
So anybody
Heila.
who's
Yes, I've got
submitting
it.
papers to the special issues, to send them directly to Colleen, your abstracts. That would be awesome.
Okay, that's me.
Okay. What's the focus of your paper, Shireen?
All right, so we're making it more of a geostory methodology paper, and we are planning to others, specifically on the ecology of knowledges and participative governance,
Oh, great.
or how our work lends into that.
Mhm.
But we decided to separate the subjects because we've got a lot to say about each.
Yeah, and that's great, because often one does have a lot to say, but then these papers need one idea, one key thing.
Yes.
You can't
Yeah.
do everything in one paper. Yeah.
Yes, and it becomes very messy and confusing, specifically if you have a word limitation.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't really
So
do everything justice. So we're just separating it that way. And we've decided the place to start is with the geostory methodology, because the others build up from that. And then we
Perfect.
can reference into the other two papers.
Very good. Awesome.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'm
Yes.
excited about that. Well done. Thank
We
you.
are also excited about it. It's looking good.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Anybody else? Kat, you want to come in?
Can I just stop you for a
Yes.
moment? Sorry, I
Mm.
also wanted to say that we are using quite a lot of graphics,
That's
because
fine.
it lends itself to the methodology story.
That's fine, Shireen. And, I know that Priya is a master
Whiz.
graphics, yes.
She's
And the
being
journal
quiet,
does
but
take graphics. And I think the thing to do would be just to remember that we'll have to probably publish, although it's online, so we can publish color graphics online, can't we, Cutty?
Yes, Prof.
Yeah, so we can
fantastic.
publish color graphics online, Priya, so you can make them really beautiful.
Yeah, they are beautiful and they're very colorful.
Great. Okay, good.
Okay.
And we'll just need them in good quality JPEG, which I'm sure you and Priya are both.
Yeah, they're quite high res.
Okay, awesome. Fantastic. Kat, you want to come in?
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Heila. And,
Nice to see you there.
Thank you too. Cutty and I have both submitted our abstracts to that email address on the special edition call. They have acknowledged receipt of it.
Okay, good.
And they said they're going to pass it on to the editorial team. Do I still send it over to the email address in the chat?
Colleen, can you track them from the other email address, I think, as well? Hey?
I've received them, yes. So it came in via ESA.
Yes,
but,
okay.
Yulisha forwarded it on to me, so I've received and acknowledged receipt. Thanks.
Okay, so
it's brilliant. I just wanted to be sure that we were sending things to the right place. So I think I'm glad to
it's
hear
just
it.
that it
Otherwise,
goes
I was going to forward it over, but now I'm glad to hear that
Yes.
she's received it.
Yeah, it goes directly to Isa, and then but Yuli is also on and then she passes to Colleen. So I think we're on top of it.
Brilliant.
Okay, and you want to tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing, Kat? And
So our work is based on the work that was conducted in Hoedspruit on school food gardens. And the paper that Cutty is writing focuses on something that is now being popularized within the terminology of green pedagogies.
okay, yes.
In other words, how is the issue of sustainability built pedagogically by teachers? And she's particularly focusing on a primary school experience in one of the schools that we're working on, because it lends itself to both a inter- and multidisciplinary kind of an approach with younger children, but it also builds very closely the idea of sustainability into the teaching and learning, that we have happening there. So hers is going to focus on this concept of green pedagogies. Mine is going to focus on the concept of third space learning. So the school food garden as a space, a third space for learning. And I'm going to be using Barbara Homer's, theory of third space learning. Of course, it was used a lot more with literacy and how you can build this interconnection between curriculum, literacy curriculum, but also everyday working, with literacy itself. Whereas in our case, we're going to be working with the curriculum, but also then indigenous knowledges that tend to creep in when learning gets taken into the garden. So I'm going to be working on this concept of third space learning.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Those sound both very exciting. Kat, do you want to add anything from your side? Cutty?
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, well, from what Prof have said, like she have already indicated that we have submitted, and then what is it that I wanted to add? I noted it down, but now it's gone.
It's good to see
No,
you.
I'll come back. Okay, but
All right.
we are on it, and it is quite exciting, because it's
How's
like
your-
I'm learning new things every day when
How
it
did
comes
your-
to green pedagogies. Like, so it's quite interesting, because initially it wasn't there, but it just came in now when we were after the tiny text, the first day, the 9th of June, when we are going through our work, we realized that this one can fit so very well. So
Fantastic. And how's the holding text been going?
yeah, I know it's going so well. We have put together some writings. I'm having papers next to me. You want me to start reading? I will read until 12 o'clock.
No,
Thank
I
you very
wanted
much.
to know
but
if you found the
coming.
holding text, if you found the holding.
Yeah, it's exciting, and it makes for somebody who's still learning to write like myself, it's helping a lot, because it is simplified in a way that I'm fitting in bit by bit. So it's nice. Thank you very much.
Good. Yeah, even for people who've written a lot like me, I still use holding text.
Okay.
Still use it every time. It's so helpful.
Well,
Like,
the
just takes away
circle
the
is
kind
going
of-
a little bit. The circle is going a little bit bigger, Heila, because I'm now redirecting some of this to other students in the work that we do. So thank you. This has been both pedagogically something that I'm learning from, but also how to write in community as well. So thank you. This has been really, really a great experience.
No, it's a pleasure, and you're very welcome to use the whatever is useful, Cut, the PowerPoints and the tools and the ideas. We've been learning them together in a big community here, and so the more we can share this, the better, because the more we can get, more Global South writing coming through from our research program. So that's exciting to know. Thank you. Right, let's hear from somebody else. Priya, did you want to come in following Shireen? I didn't give you a spot there.
I think Shireen summarized us, Prof. It's a nice process to focus on the methodology instead of the findings. It takes a little bit of practice, because we keep trying to sneak in our favorite findings and then we have to pull them back out again. It is.
It's nice to know that you've got 2 other papers, because then you can put the findings there, and then at least you know, well, okay, I am going to get to that. So it's actually very helpful to do that if you have a lot of things to say, to just work out 3 abstracts instead of 1, because then you can help yourself to do that sifting this way and that way. I'm sure that's what you're finding as well.
Yeah, so we've actually got the 3 abstracts are done. One of the other papers is just about done, and this methodology paper, and then we've got 1 more. So it does help to know where the stuff belongs. Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome. And I think it's a good strategy, actually, especially if you're writing from a PhD, because sometimes in a PhD, as you know, Priya, you have a lot. And then, like, how do you write it into papers? So I think sometimes writing a few abstracts, like a series of abstracts, you know, then you know what to put where, and then you can pull from the PhD into those, or from a big project like you guys have been doing. So thank you for that and bringing that to our attention. That's awesome. Which journals did you aim for? Are you aiming for your 3 papers? The one is SAGI, and then
the other 2, we'll try at least one of them in the Citizen Science Journal of Theory and Practice. One of them, we were accepted to the Frontiers special edition on citizen science, but we've chosen to withdraw it because we're not happy with the intellectual property setup of it. So so we're not sure where that one will go. We might also try to send both to the Journal of Citizen Science Theory and Practice, or otherwise one of the science education journals for the participatory governance paper.
yes. Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. Well, what you should try maybe one of the environmental science journals for that. Ecology and Society, or because they're
Yes.
interested in citizen science. Eh?
Can I come in here?
Yeah.
I think the participative governance paper and the points that the thing that we want to say about it will be very, very valuable to environmental managers broadly. So being a practitioner in the field, I know that there's a lack and there's a real hunger for that type of information, how to manage it out in the field. Okay, we've used citizen science, but I have discussed with Priya that I'd like to present that work at the National Wetlands Indaba coming up at the end of this year. So my thinking is that we can go quite broad with our search as to where to park that or to submit that paper.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, that's quite nice to look around, you know, and think, and I hear Priya's point about trying to find ones that are working open access and so on. So
Correct, yeah.
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 All
So
right.
we
Thanks
try
very much.
to populate again in 3 communities of practice. So the communities of practice, we can cross-refer, but we're also showing the work in 3 different overlapping spaces.
Exactly. Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic. Let's hear from somebody else. Thanks, Priya. Thanks, Shireen. Who would like to come in next? What happened to Abu Sedi? She was there and then she disappeared. Haven't seen her for a while. Prevan, you wanted to come in?
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Raf. So I was looking at a knowledge review paper, synthesis review paper around ecological literacy. And so the holding text loops through the ecological crisis, and then it goes on to environmental apartheid, ecological literacy, of course. And then I really want to introduce a new section on the rise of AI and its relationship to that, and also just bringing it home with indigenous knowledge practices with ecological literacy. So I'm just trying to make it a shorter version of what I have, so that it can actually fit into the word counts, but to give enough kind of focus to each of those points. And I was looking
which
at
journal are you targeting, Prevan?
looking at environmental education research.
Okay.
That yeah, just to so more like a review paper.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Let's hear from anybody else. Who have we still got here? Carmen. Got Sinclair. Morning, Carmen. How are you?
Doing good. Nice to see everyone here. Yeah, so So we submitted a book chapter already that is looking at Ubuntu capability-based understanding of university for sustainable futures. So that's almost, I think it will get published soon. But now we were busy with a paper that we want to present at CS about protesting for sustainable universities as student activists on the future of higher education in South Africa. So we are thinking to present it at the conference and then try to submit it to Comparative Education Review Journal, which is the one from CS. But yeah, we want to, you know, even if we are drawing more from the sustainable and political space of, the social and political space of sustainability, we want to make sure, you know, that all the aspects are well connected. And we try to argue that on the previous chapter for the book chapter, but yeah, we will continue with that kind of line, but highlighting the model priority of political and social concerns in a South African context because of the activism that students are already busy with for years.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's nice to hear what you're doing as well. Let's hear from, who else have we still got to hear from? Kalongo, Santle.
Hello, Prof. I can go.
Okay, morning.
Although I haven't done much because I started my field research. Everybody was available that I need to see, but I've tried something. So my paper, I think I'm going to do a think piece because I'm still at the beginning of my field research. So basically, so mainly literature review. I've got a title that I think I'm going to work with now, and it's Decolonizing the Maize Monoculture-Based Diet through farmer-led agrobiodiversity practices. I've got a few wording texts, and in the two main ones that I've already got a lot of ideas on is actually the historicity of maize on our diet culture, and also how agrobiodiversity comes into play to involve farmers and also the learning aspect of how these two marry. Looking at the Food Security Journal, I found a very interesting journal called the Food Security Journal, and it has quite a lot of stuff that actually will be useful even in my dissertation. And I would also like to look at the Africa Journal of Environmental Education. So those are the two that I've looked at in detail at the moment.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Kalongo. Good to hear what you're busy with as well. Let's hear, but I see Vilma's hand is up.
Morning, everyone.
Zintle's put hers in the chat, so if anybody wants to catch up with Zintle, it's in the chat. Morning, Vilma.
Morning. Yes, so we're writing an article on virtual learning networks and looking at the sustainability of them, because sometimes learning networks thrive and others just die down, and some are quite active and others aren't. So we're looking at the contradictions, challenges within it, and solutions. We've done interviews with various different networks, members of different networks, and now we're mapping it out and trying to find a way forward of what really works and what would be the route to sustainability in networks.
Awesome. And which journal are you targeting, Vilma?
I'm not sure at the moment. I've been looking at a couple also at the Agricultural Extension Journal, but we've published a couple of articles in there. So I'm trying to maybe find a different social journal.
Okay. Are you not targeting that one into SAGI because there's such a also interest in learning networks in SAGI?
Okay. Well, then we will definitely do that. Okay.
You could try one of those special issues of SAGI because we do want to fill them up a bit. So don't neglect SAGI if you can help it.
Well, then that's definitely an option. Thank you for doing that.
Okay. So, Zintle, are you happy for us just to read your stuff in the chat here, or do you want to come in and speak to it? Oh. Okay. Zintle just wants us to read her stuff in the chat. Zintle, do you want to come in? It'd be nice to see you and say hello.
Can I come in?
Yes, okay.
Just
This
share
one's
my
having problem with sound. Okay, Elijah.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
This is Elijah. Kosa and I want to first make a clarification. Kosa and I are not seasoned writers, and we are not in the academia. So we are not writing an article. I think we are writing an intervention. I don't know. We are writing an intervention, and we hope to use a case study, to use our project. It is a project that we just completed that we are using as a case study. And we definitely seek more guidance or learning from colleagues here who are more experience in writing, how we can frame our work. I also had, I think, the first, I don't remember, was it Priya and the colleagues who are using graphics. Would be interesting to see how they are using graphics in their work. That our work is looking at conventional environmental education vis-a-vis more practical environmental education, and this is based on the project that we implemented with one of the schools here. And using the eco school model. So that's pretty much what our work is looking at. And we are not yet looking at where we intend to submit our work is to start with a special edition. That's what we are starting with. We haven't yet looked at any other opportunities because we want to start with that, since we might be slow in writing.
Don't feel slow in writing. Everybody is slow in writing. Writing is something that takes time. And yes, have you managed to write your abstract then, Elijah?
Yes, we submitted an initial abstract, but going through going through this course and going through this orientation, I think we are changing, moving up things.
That's fine.
We already have some tiny texts under some subheadings, but it still requires a lot of reading, and that's what we are doing currently, and putting small bits under the headings. But that also keeps changing as we read, as we do more reading.
That's quite normal, you know. When one writes a paper, changes a lot, and you'll see we'll end today with, you know, the idea of writing and rewriting and writing and rewriting, because one never writes anything, you know, finally first. You always have to write and rewrite and write and rewrite, because that's part of your thinking process, you see. As you think, you write, and as you write, you think. So it's, you know, a very iterative process always. People often think you have to write something and get it right the first time, but it never works like that. You always write and rewrite, write and rewrite. So don't feel that you, you know, are not experienced or anything. That's the same process everybody goes through. So it's good to hear that you've done your abstract, and it's good to hear that it's going in, and I'm looking forward to reading it. Actually, we'll start reading the abstract soon that have come into the special issues. So thank you for sharing that, Elijah. Let's hear from Zintle. Said I can read her little piece in the chat. She's going to try and troubleshoot with sound. But she says she started with headings and holding text. And what she realized was that she needed to read in order to write about the history of the project. So there you are. You see, it's writing, rewriting, and reading. I think Cutty was also saying she's sitting with lots of papers around her. Writing, rewriting, and reading. That is a combination process that goes on. She said, what I realized was that I needed to read in order to write about the history of the project. I.e., how does it locate in the history of the field? So yes, very good point, Zintle. Often one needs to do that. You need to go and look around you, So you start with what you're wanting to do, but then you need to go and look around you and see what else has been going on that you may not be that familiar with yet, what other people have written, what's been happening in the field, so that you can locate your project well in a field, you see, in a field of practice, in a field of study. And the title of her paper is Supporting Pre-Service Teachers to Engage with Environment and Sustainability Education in the PGCE program. And basically, it's looking at how she's worked with PGCE students in engaging environment and sustainability education via SDGs. She hasn't yet settled on a journal, but she's identified some potentials, SAGI being one of them, the Environmental Education Research Journal, the International Journal of Sustainability in Higher Education, and the Journal of Environmental Education. So Zintle's got 4 choices going there. So I hope you'll settle on one soon, Zintle, and be able to send it in. Again, we are inviting for SAGI, but also if you feel you want to rather target another audience, then, you know, go for that. The International Journal of Sustainability in Higher Education is actually a very good journal, and it also reaches quite widely. So if you want a lot of people to read your work and you want to, you know, get wider than your own Southern African context, that's a really good one. Lots of people read it. There is also a Journal of Teacher Education, Zintle, that you might want to look at, International Journal of Teacher Education. So yeah, so that sounds like a great paper coming through there. Let's hear from somebody else. Abu Sede, I haven't seen or heard from you for a long time. How are you? Not unmuting. All right, we move on to somebody else. Anybody else want to come in? Colleen, how about you? How's your writing going? I know you've been very busy in the last week or 2 here, but...
Hi, Prof. Yes, thanks. I'll go. So very novice writer, but I have an abstract, or I've having an attempt at an abstract. I've got an interim title. The journals that I've been targeting, or that I aim to target, is SAGI, the special issue. Then there's a journal called Sustainability, and then also possibly the one that Dr. Zintle mentioned, which is International Sustainability in Higher Education. My challenge, so it's a single finding from a master's study, but I'm still trying to figure out the move from writing for a master's level study versus writing for a journal. So, and then the holding text, that's a work in progress.
Good. Okay, good to hear from you, and good to hear that you are making progress there. And we'll come back to the how to hold it in one place, you know, one key idea in one place. We'll do that just now with the golden thread.
Okay.
Let's hear from anybody else who still wants to come in and who doesn't have sound problems. Maleche, can you speak, or are you struggling with sound there?
It's on and off, but for some reason I'm able to have a stable connection for some minutes. Can you hear me?
We've got you. Go for it.
Yes. Morning, everyone. So yeah, I've also been a bit not challenged in terms of the work per se, but I missed the last session, so I haven't managed to go through the PowerPoints you've shared. I've gone through half of it, but I haven't managed to finish that. But in the meantime, what I have been doing, because in the first session I did mention that I wanted to work or focus on writing something linked to youth, the effectiveness and the implications of land reform programs for young people in governance communities. So I have been going over my master's thesis, which was quite interesting because reading it again now with a new set of eyes, I couldn't believe that was me writing there. So, but you mentioned something earlier in the beginning of the session, which actually was what I found useful for me. Reading through what I had.
He's dropped off. Okay, so Maleche is busy with the paper. He's a bit on and off with connections, but we'll pick up with him again. Abaseda says she can't speak. She says she's picking up on the writing, holding text is going well, and she's working on building more text as I go. And thanks for the session. So yeah, thanks. Aro, do you want to come in quickly? And then I think we've covered most people that are on the platform this morning. I just wanted to touch base with all of you, and that so that you can also all hear each other and hear the progress that you're all making. Aro?
Yes, Prof. Good morning, Prof, and everyone. Okay, so mine is based on the Keep It Cool project. So it's about the title reads Professional Learning Communities, a significant mechanism for the successful implementation of climate change education interventions in school. So this title is sort of based on the conclusions of the paper, like the role that PLC played. It's the case study is based on one district, that is Pinetown, because I was working there as a PLC facilitator. So I had an opportunity to interact with teachers. They did some reflections on the project and as well as on the establishment of PLCs. So I just thought of publishing this there on the Keep It Cool report, but I think it will be more important again to be published as a paper, because there are some people who are more interested on reading articles than project reports.
Yes.
So amongst the findings, there was the issue of improved collaboration among schools in PLCs. That was something new which came from teachers, establishment of opportunity for teaching, include with the inclusion of the non-teaching staff, collaborating in climate change education projects. So non-teaching staff were also part of the PLCs, provision of an effective space and process for improving climate change education, pedagogical practice. So teachers were saying PLCs help them to improve their pedagogical practice. Then another theme was on improved teachers.
So Aro?
Hello, Prof.
It sounds like you've got lots of findings, huh?
Yeah, in fact.
So which journal are you targeting?
Oh, it's SAGE. I was thinking of using SAGE.
SAGE, the special issue on climate change.
Yes, but for strange reasons, I couldn't, like the post that I got here about the social issue, I can't get it from the website. And then I tried to submit there, I couldn't manage. I don't know, maybe someone faced a similar issue. Like on the website, I couldn't see where I can submit it.
Okay, so the proposal to just email it to Colleen, I've put her email in the chat. That will be the...
Okay,
so
okay.
and to submit the abstract to the special issue for now, right?
Yes, yes. The abstract is ready, yes.
Okay, so if your abstract is ready and you're sure you've done a really good job of it, then you can submit it to Colleen for the special issue.
Okay.
Malaysia, you were cut off there. I just wanted to pick up if there's anything that you still wanted to say.
Oh yes, I was saying doing catch up from the last section that I missed.
You okay?
Yeah, so in terms of journals,
we're not hearing you, Malaysia. Just speak into your mic a bit.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
I was saying that I'm still doing a bit of catch up from the last session, and in terms of journals, I was actually looking for South Africa-based open access journals, but I came across another journal which I submitted an abstract to a while ago, which is the Journal of Lifelong Learning, where I think Prisha is actually involved in that journal. So it's one of the journals that I had re-identified, and I'm still looking for 2 more journals that I hope to write to. So that's how far I got.
Fantastic. So it seems to me that everyone's got a focus for their paper. Everyone has a title. Am I right? Everyone has headings. Am I right? Everyone has some holding text. Everyone has an abstract. ready to submit. All submitted. Yeah, we together? Well done, guys. You are quite a big part of the way there, because this is usually what takes a lot of energy to get that focus, to get going, to know where you're heading, find your journal. And now it's a case of, as I said, puffing up the text and starting to get it, a little bit more expanded. Some of you I can hear are already busy with that. So Kat was saying she's working with hybrid theory. So she's taken theory to help her puff up the text. Cutty was saying she's reading all about green pedagogy. So she's already, going to other literature to puff up her text. Colleen's got a whole thesis that's already puffed up. She needs to now choose from that what's going to go into the journal paper. Priya and Shireen have got a lot of material from their project, and they are selecting, pulling together what's going to go in the paper. Elijah has got a lovely case story that he wants to tell, the story of working with the eco schools. Start to put that into the headings now. I heard him saying that they're busy doing that, putting it in. Aro's already got a lot of findings that he's already sharing out there. Previn has got a whole scope of stuff he's busy reviewing. So I think that we are already busy with the puffing up of our texts, okay? Now, the one challenge that you have when that happens is that you shouldn't just like burst out and go too wide. You have to stay focused. You got to stay on that line of argument. What are you saying? How does it connect? Okay, stay on one track, not on 10 tracks. So Priya was saying, they keep wanting to put their findings in, but they have to keep taking them out, because if they put their findings in, then they're going off track. And their track is to write about the methodology. Their track is not to write about everything that happened. So it's really important for you to get the track, to hold the track, and to keep going on that track. And one of the most useful ideas there is the idea of, the golden thread. So I'm going to go back now to the PowerPoint, and I'm going to just pick up a bit there with you, and to remind you to use your holding text, because holding text helps you. You're basically telling yourself what you're going to write into a section. So it helps you to check your thinking. You see, so you say, in this section, I'm going to write about the 25 findings that I have. If you were Arrow, for example, you see, then you would say, in this section, I'm going to include the 25 findings. Or if you are Colleen, you'll say, in this section, I want to include some theory here about regenerative sustainability. You see, so you tell yourself what you're going to write, and then you know what to write in that section. So the holding text is very, very important, because it's like placeholder. It's a placeholder. It holds the place of what you are going to write, but you're actually telling yourself what you're going to do, and then it becomes much easier to do that. So if, for example, Colleen, in one of your sort of headings, you say, in this section, I'm going to write about some of the theory of regenerative sustainability that I found in the literature, then you'll know that you can go into your thesis and you can pull some of that literature. Of course, you're not going to be able to do it all, so you'll have to select and pull the most important into your paper. But by putting the holding text there, it reminds you, it tells you what you're going to do, and then you know what to do going forward. So very important to do your holding text. It's like a strategy for self-empowerment, if I have to call it that. And it's so, so, so helpful, because it also helps you to keep yourself on track and not to just, rush off into 25 directions as you start your writing. So now what we're going to do is talk a little bit about, how do you then hold the one big idea in this paper all the way through? And you do that along what is called your main claim. So what is it that you can claim by writing this paper? So if you have a case study on eco schools like Elijah, what is it that you want to claim, Elijah? Do you want to say that eco schools are a good approach for education and sustainability? Or do you want to say eco schools is a good approach for strengthening climate action in schools? Or do you want to say eco schools is a good way to get the teachers involved? Or do you want to say Eco schools is very empowering for school community relationships. So you see by that, what I've just showed you there is that you can have 4 claims for a paper on eco schools. Which one is your one? You see, so that's what you need to be asking yourself when you talk about the main claim. What is my main claim? What am I saying in this paper? One thing that I want to say by bringing this paper into the world. So in Priya's and Shireen's case, I'm sure they're making an argument of some kind for geostory methodology, but I don't know what the claim is. Priya, can you help us? What is your claim? Do you have a main claim? What is your claim?
Yes, our claim is our claim is that when we retell our stories in a way that foregrounds epistemic, contributory, and distributive justice, then we have a more robust, more accurate story of what's happening, and we can use it in more powerful ways. So it's a pedagogic argument rather than a process argument, that it gives us more pedagogic power when we tell our story in that way.
So in short, your claim is that this methodology gives you more pedagogical power. Yeah?
Because it foregrounds justice.
Because it foregrounds multidimensional justice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yes.
Good. Awesome. Previn, what is your claim?
So my claim would be that in order to fight against climate change, or to be effective against climate change for this generation, they need to be more ecologically literate. And as much as current tools and technology can help, it also is important to immerse ourselves in nature-based experiences.
Okay, that sounds like a long, complicated claim to me. Previn, what is the main claim? What are you saying? You're saying that ecological literacy is necessary for engaging with climate change?
Yes, so ecological literacy would enable students to have more solutions, or be able to be more adaptable to climate change problems.
Right. So ecological literacy, and I think you're talking about a multidimensional type of ecological literacy, if I'm
yes,
absolutely. So a multidimensional ecological literacy strengthens climate action, strengthens climate empowerment and climate action.
Yes.
Can you see what I'm doing here, guys, with both Priya and Previn? I'm kind of helping them to just tighten the main claim. You see, what's the main claim? What's holding this thing all together? So it's very important, and you can see here I've used this picture of this sort of yellow kind of, this is the golden thread. It's what holds everything together. So all the washing is on the line is the golden thread, okay? All these t-shirts here are the different dimensions of ecological literacy that Previn is covering in his review paper, but the golden thread is the main claim, the argument that these types of ecological literacy are necessary, okay, for climate action and empowerment. Does that make sense, Previn?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see what happens if you don't have the main claim and you've got your pieces of washing, then the washing is just going to be lying on the ground and it's not going to be held together. So the line, the main claim holds it together. So everybody needs to have that very clear so that you know exactly what you're actually arguing for. So I would love to know, everybody's main claim. And I think what we can do now is just do this little exercise, and then maybe I'll ask Previn if he can just put us into little groups for a couple of minutes. Just maybe let's see, sort of pairs, I think, Previn, or groups of 3 in about, give us 10 minutes. But before we do that, I want everybody just to write down, what is your main claim? Keep it short, okay? Even one sentence is better. What are you claiming? What are you saying with that paper? So let's take a small breathing space, take a pen, write on your computer, write somewhere on a notepad. What is your claim? And then I'm going to ask Previn to break us into little groups so that we can just share that claim. And when you're sharing your claim with somebody else, do what I've just done with Priya and Previn. I've asked them, you know, please, what's it tight? Can you tell us, keep it tight? Okay. Short, tight, clear. What is your claim, Aro? What is your claim, Elijah? What is your claim, Abasede? What is your claim, Zendle? What is your claim, Cutty? What is your claim, Carmen? Every one of you, what is your claim? Okay. Few minutes, and then we'll break into groups. Right, looks like everybody else is coming back in. Right.
Privy, are you here?
Hi, Elijah. Yes.
Yes, I was saying I'm going to underline the word context-based issue. That should form my the key area of my.
Yes, that sounds good. We're in the main room now, Elijah. We're back together.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Well, welcome back to everybody. And I hope that we are now at the point where everyone has a clear claim. Yes. If you have a clear claim, you can clap your hands on the Zoom. Yes, I can see Shireen's got a clear claim. Zentle's got a claim. Brevin's got one. Maleche's got one. Colleen's got one. Who else has got a clear claim? Priya's got one. Okay, so everybody should have a clear claim. And, you know, it's very important to have a clear claim. And I'll tell you now why it's very important to have a clear claim. And the clear claim, you can think of the clear claim as what we talked about here as the golden thread. So you can see here at the bottom, there's this golden thread in the image, right? Golden threads, that's what holds the whole paper together. So absolutely everything that you write in that paper must relate to that claim, and it must help to support that claim. If you're writing things and it's not supporting that claim, or it's not relevant to the claim, then it's not relevant to your paper. Then you keep it for the other papers. Okay. So this is very important. It helps you to, it's your washing line, right? It holds everything in one place, holds the whole piece together clearly. So golden thread, very important. The golden thread, okay, an argument is made up from a chain of related claims supported by evidence from literature or data or experiences. So you have the main claim, which is the golden thread, and then that claim is supported by a sequence of other claims. So the first claim is that it's relevant, it's a relevant, what you're trying to work on here is that it's relevant. So there's like a claim about the relevance of writing about this. Then there's a claim about its position in the field. Then there's a claim about what you're trying to say about it, what your findings are, okay? So you, as you go along, you also make like little subclaims, because claim, evidence, claim, evidence, claim, evidence, claim, evidence. That's how academic writing is structured. So you must have a golden thread, your main claim, and then the other, everything else you write helps to support that. So you get then mini claims, like little middle claim, 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 claim. So you can say, this is a relevant problem to study, okay? Then you could say, in this context, it was relevant to study this problem. That you're claiming, right? You're claiming that in that context, it was relevant to study that problem. You can also claim in the literature on school green pedagogies, for example, there is a lack of focus on primary school gardens in South Africa. You're claiming, right? You're claiming into that literature. You see? Then you can say, in my study, we found this. You're claiming about that green pedagogy or your methodology or the argument about land reform and what it needs. You're claiming from your evidence, from what you found. You're making claims. So you make many claims, okay, in relation to the big claim, the golden thread. And this is quite important because it starts to give you the puffing up, you know, it gives you the substance of the paper. Up till now, we've been talking about the structuring of the paper. Now we're starting to look at what's going in it. And what goes in it is this main claim, and then the building up of that main claim. And that main claim is built up by these sequence of claim, evidence, claim, evidence, claim, evidence. Whenever you make a claim, you offer some evidence. You make a claim, you offer some evidence. You make a claim, you offer some evidence. Your evidence comes from the context. Your evidence comes from literature. Your evidence comes from your own research, okay, your empirical research, the work that you did in your case study or in the district that you were working in, like Aro, or in the project that you were working in, like Shireen and Priya. So your evidence comes from different places, but you always make a smaller claim, evidence, claim, evidence, claim, evidence, claim, evidence. That's how one builds the paper then, how you puff it up, main claim, and then claim evidence, claim evidence, claim evidence. So you puff up with claim evidence, claim evidence, claim evidence, but all of that must relate to the golden thread, the main claim. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm going to carry on, and then what we can do is just stop and take some questions, and you know, you can sort of come back at it from where you are sitting. So your sections of a paper then, which you should already be having now with your headings and some of your holding text that you were telling yourself what you're going to be writing about there. Now we're going to strengthen that. You see, we're strengthening those pieces with the main claim and then these sub-claims that you're making throughout. Okay, so the golden thread is always there. And it starts to unfold in the sections of the paper. So introduction, you introduce the focus of the paper, the broader context, key concepts, and the problem. Okay, and here you're claiming that there is a problem that needs to be researched. You're claiming that it's a relevant problem for the context, you see. So you're not just writing, you actually are claiming. But whenever you claim, you have to provide some evidence. So you can say something like, there is a need to research green pedagogies in South African schools. That's a claim, isn't it? But what's the evidence? So is there like a gap in the literature? Is that your evidence? Or is it that it hasn't been done? Or is it that others have done it already, but there's, you know, they haven't focused on the school gardens? So what is it that you unfolding? Okay. Then you can also claim through literature. So you can claim by reviewing the literature. So you can, for example, you can review literature on universities and sustainability, and you can say that, you know, there's not a lot that's been said about regenerative cultures there. There's a lot that's been said about practices, sustainability practices, but there's not a lot that's been said about regenerative cultures. So that could be a claim, you see, that you would then beef up with evidence from the literature. You can then, you also claim, you say, this is the type of methodology I used, case study methodology, okay, and you're claiming that it's a relevant methodology, but then you have to say why. Okay, so why was using a case study a good approach? You see, so whatever you claim, you've got to come in behind it with evidence. Claim, evidence, claim, evidence, claim, evidence. Your findings, what did you find? You're claiming that you found something, but what's the evidence? How do we know that that's true? Okay, so can you share some of your data? Can you share some of those insights or what the teachers were doing in that PLC? Aro, you see, what are you sharing here in terms of the claim? How do we know that AI is developing environmental literacy, Previn? You know, you're claiming, but how do we know? What's the evidence? You see, does the evidence come from other literature because you're doing a review? Or does the evidence come from data because you're using AI to develop ecological literacy? In other words, where does the evidence come from? Is it coming from other literature? Is it coming from the context? Is it coming from the history of the field? Is it coming from your own work? So always claim, evidence, claim, evidence, claim, evidence, and that helps you to build the golden thread, which is your main claim. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep. You happy there? Okay. So that's how these texts are produced, right? They're produced through claim, evidence, claim, evidence, claim, evidence that speaks to the main claim. So if you've got your main claim, you've got a good start. Then you need to build that up, okay? And here is one strategy to help you to do that. So you can take sticky notes and you can put down here, number 1 and 2 is your claim, okay? And then 3 and 4 is the main reasons why your claims are valid. So you're actually helping yourself to think about your claims. You know, are these good claims? Okay. In the second little column here, these other sticky notes, you're helping yourself to see, okay, these are my main claims. This is now what I'm going to, why I think these claims are valid. Why are they good claims? Okay. And then 6 and 7 on this side, these other little layer here is you can build up a picture then of what evidence are you going to provide to support those claims. So here you've got your claims. You've thought about why are these claims valid and important claims. And then here you're going to say, this is the evidence that I've got to support that claim. So Wilma, for example, is claiming, you'll have to remind me, Wilma, what is your claim now? Virtual
learning networks require continuous engaged interaction for sustainability. Continuous interaction to be sustained.
Yes. Okay. So your claim there, you see, virtual learning networks require continuous interaction. So then you can ask yourself a question, why is that claim valid? See, so then I can ask you, is that claim valid, Vilma? Then you can say to me, yes, it's a valid claim because I have evidence, right? I have evidence for that claim. The evidence is coming from the 2 cases that I'm studying. I'm studying the SST and I'm studying the Amanzi for food. And I've seen there that, okay, when we've got, you know, in-person learning networks, you don't need as much continuous interaction. But when you've got virtual learning networks, you need a lot more continuous interaction. The evidence for that is coming from the participants that we interviewed, you see. So then you can say you've got the evidence for that claim. Does that make sense? Yeah?
It does. Yes, thanks.
Okay. And then in the end, number 8, the last little one is, okay, so why is this significant then to the field? So this is a strategy for you to test what I would call the substance of your paper. Okay. So it helps you to kind of lay out your claims, check that you're absolutely sure these are good claims. In other words, why are they valid? And then what evidence do you have for those claims? And that then gives you the puffing up. Okay, it's the puffing up substance of the paper. You can see now your paper is getting, you know, much more robust in terms of the content and what you're putting in there, and you're checking yourself to make sure that you're making good claims. You've got a good claim overall, and now you're building up that claim through parts. You're checking and you're giving the evidence. Does that make sense? So I've made a Jamboard for you to be able to do this for yourself, you see. So you can put your claims in here. Then you can put the main reasons why your claims are valid in the green. Then you can put what evidence do you have to support the claims. And then you can put what that means for your main argument, which is your main claim. Okay. So that gives you a strategy to just work on your claims and see how the claims that you're making across your paper are connected to the main claim, the golden thread, and that you're testing that they are valid and they are good claims. Okay, and there are different reasons for them being good claims. So the reasons can be contextual, the reasons can be historical, the reasons can be sort of field-based in terms of, you know, there's gaps here in our knowledge, and the reasons can also be proven, in other words, coming from the actual data in your study, or they can also have been proven by other people in published work that's already been going on. Okay, does that help you? I see Carmen has got a hand raised up. Carmen, do you want to come in? Carmen, do you want to unmute and come in?
Yes, I wanted to
Not hearing you well, Carmen.
yes, I'm switching off the video to see if it's better now because my connection is not really good.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, it's much better now.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Okay, go.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was wondering, if in a theoretical paper, the main reason why and the evidence are kind of more mixed than separate. But yeah, I don't know what you think.
Yes, because in a theoretical paper, you are offering reasoning, right? For your claim. But you still need to, but basically you're still claiming, aren't you? You're claiming that this theoretical perspective is a valid one, okay?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And then you would provide theoretical depth probably, or theoretical deliberation, or an argument or a counter argument for that claim. So you'll still find that you have a series of claim in order to build up a theoretical argument. Because a theoretical argument isn't just a kind of what you call it, a sort of gathering together of stuff. It is actually, claims and evidence, claims and evidence, claims and evidence. But that evidence comes then from your theoretical deliberation and the way that you're structuring it into your main claim, which is your main argument. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yeah, it does. Perfect. Thank you, Heila.
Okay. Elijah?
Thank you. My question is on the previous slide.
Yeah. This one?
Yes. No. The
one before?
Yes, the one before. Like
this one?
Yes, this one. I'm wondering, do I always need to use a theory in my paper?
No, you don't. There is a type of research called grounded theory, which is often just, more kind of this sharing of what's coming through from the context. But what we normally find is that even that there is theory. You see, you have theory. So I don't know what your theory is on eco schools. Can you tell me what is your theory on eco schools? What are you proposing about eco schools, or what do you believe about eco schools?
For sure, I was still contemplating on whether I should have a theory to explain it, and I haven't. That's why I'm asking whether I need to have a theory in every paper. So, otherwise, if I don't need to have a theory, then I would do away with a theory.
Yes, you don't normally need to have a theory, especially if you're just sort of telling a case story, then you don't normally need to have a theory. But your case story can actually offer a theoretical perspective. So you can come to a conclusion that could be useful to somebody else. Oh, sure. Let me just go and close my door. Sorry. Sorry, it was just tea time in the passage. I think we should also probably take a little break for tea now. Does that answer your question, Elijah?
Yes, I think it does kind of answer my question. I'll try to look at the grounded theory and see, or I'll also try to look at other people who have used the same,
but usually
methodology.
Yes, case studies, sometimes people use theory to help them interpret their case studies or to help them describe their findings or discuss their findings better. So you might find, for example, in the eco schools that there was, a lot of interest in the children's activities by the community. So then you could look at, well, what is going on there? There's sort of school community interaction, and maybe somebody has developed some theory about school community interaction, and that can help you to discuss those findings a bit better, you know, or with more, what you call it, scope or something like that, you see. So you don't always need a theory, but it is often helpful to help you to discuss what you've been finding in the research. Sometimes people use theory to, you know, to test the theory or to elaborate on a theory through empirical data. Sometimes people just want to make a theoretical argument, as in Carmen's case, you see. So people use theory differently in their studies. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, and probably I'll also invite colleagues here who are more experienced can help me to pinpoint some theories that I can try to look at.
Yes, I think probably the best thing to do, Elijah, would be for you to sort of share your case story once you've developed the case story, and then we can see what's in the case story and whether it is useful to use a theory or not, because it's not always useful to use a theory, you see. Sometimes a theory can be helpful and sometimes it is you actually don't need it. So it depends very much what type of paper you are trying to write, as we discussed last time as well.
I've seen some Priya is already helping me out. Thank you, Priya.
Thanks, Pri. Awesome. Okay, good. So we've now covered quite a bit this morning already. We've looked at, I'm going to just quickly see where we are in our, this Zoom floating meeting controls is very irritating. So we've kind of looked at the issue of the main claim, and we've looked at, you know, how claims connect, and that you need to have a valid claim and that claims are supported by evidence, and that continues throughout the paper as you have your main claim, your golden thread. In order to make that golden thread hold, you need, you know, the parts, and they all need to connect. So these are strategies. What I've done is I've put that on the Miro board, and also in this PowerPoint, there's a link here to the Jamboard. So you can go to the Jamboard and you can make a copy of the Jamboard, and then you've got your own version of this, and you can do your own work here in terms of making your claims. You can also just take sticky notes and put them out on your table in front of you and, you know, work on your claims. The sticky notes are often better because you can move them around, you see. So you can put your claims down, and then you can kind of put your reason why your claims are valid next to that. Then you can put the evidence next to that with another set of sticky notes. And then you kind of building the picture there quite strongly in front of you on the table with sticky notes. So that's what I would recommend, that you actually build a little kind of just sit down with sticky notes on the table in front of you and work on your issue of the claims, how your claims are being constructed for your piece of work. Okay, and then you'll begin to see what those claims are and whether they're valid claims and what evidence you have to support the claims. So Zintle has already said that she needed to go and read more to situate her paper in the field. So she realized she didn't actually have enough evidence to say that this was necessary research in the field. So she had to go and look into literature. She needed more evidence for that claim, that this was a useful, important paper in the field, you see. So Zintle has already done some of that work. So that's the kind of thing that you can do to help you to, you know, think about your claims and structure your claims. And there is a homework activity to do this on the Miro board, and there's a Jamboard, and you can also just, you know, as I say, build it on the table. So I'm not going to spend time on that now, but I do want to encourage everybody to do that because it's super helpful for getting strength into your paper. Okay, to get that, what they would call academic strength, strength for an academic paper. Academic papers are built on this structure: claim, evidence, claim, evidence, claim, evidence. That's what makes them strong. Okay, so you need to do some of that work. And this is, you know, how this golden thread is built up: claim, evidence, and you can also use counter arguments. And I think, Carmen, for the kind of paper you're thinking of, if I'm reading you correctly, you would probably want to say, you know, this is your claim, this is the evidence that's there, but there are also counter arguments for that evidence. Hence, we are putting, you know, this view forward, that type of a way of working. Okay, so just that you are aware that claim, evidence, counter arguments is also a combination that you can work with as you construct these the claim evidence structure of your paper. Okay. And then I just wanted to, before we break for have a short little tea break, just to say what's important is that to not be too simplistic, you know. You need to take time to work on the argument. So what I've done now is I've asked you all to be quite tight about your main claim, but that doesn't mean it's simplistic, right? That you can then sort of, if you can call it, elaborate it carefully with the detail that matters. So if you look at this here, so here's a kind of a very simplistic claim. Frank Lloyd Wright was a great architect. But to give it more strength and to be more robust, you can see this one. Frank Lloyd Wright's architecture combines elements of European modernism, Asian aesthetic form, and locally found materials to create a unique new style. So you can see it's a more elaborated version of the tight argument. Now, as you build up your claim evidence structure, you get the more elaborated version of that argument, and that is usually what you end up with in your conclusion. So in Vilma's case, she said our claim was virtual learning pedagogies need more extensive interaction to be sustained, right? But in the end, she'll have to say, you know, when she gets to the end and making the full claim of that paper, she'll have to say, virtual learning pedagogies require sustained interaction that involves ongoing sharing of work and feedback. It involves multiple forms of technology, what do you call them, Vilma? E-learning ecosystems. Yes, it involves e-learning ecosystems. And it involves engaging people in practice, reporting back to each other, blah, blah, blah. You see, so you're strengthening your claim then through the detail that comes then through that claim. So, you know, have it clear, but don't end up being simplistic. That, I think, is the key point here. And the way to not be oversimplistic is to have it clear, and then you elaborate it with careful subclaims, all of which have got evidence. And in the end, then you'll have a very strong paper making a very strong claim, because you will have that claim backed up with claim evidence, claim evidence, claim evidence. And it will build then this lovely puffed up paper with its, you know, full substance and strength. So, you know, that's the way to get to strength inside an academic paper, is to be clear, but to, you know, also then elaborate very carefully with claim evidence, claim evidence, claim evidence, until the whole thing together is strong, okay, and holds together strongly. So that's where I want to stop now, I think, with the claim evidence. And there is some homework that you can do. So you can go to your favorite journal or the journal that you're targeting, try to find a paper, see whether the author has done a good job. What is their main claim? What evidence have they been using to back up their claims? And how do authors deal with evidence in the writing of their papers? What kind of evidence seems to count in the journal? Now, some journals will have mostly quantitative analysis, and that's the kind of evidence that they want, that they prefer or they privilege, okay? If you're a qualitative researcher, then you don't want to be going into one of those journals that are wanting quantitative analysis as their main form of evidence, because then you'll be in the wrong place, right? So you need to find journals where people are using similar kinds of evidence and are working carefully with that evidence, how they're putting the evidence together, how they're sharing it. So it's really helpful to go and look at a paper and go and do an analysis of somebody else's paper. See if they've done a good job, okay? Not everybody does a good job of this, by the way, but it helps to look at somebody else's paper, do an analysis, and see how are they doing. What's the main claim? Claim evidence, claim evidence, claim evidence. See if you can unpick it in their particular paper, and it will help you to see how to do the same thing in your paper. Okay, so I'm going to stop there and have a little, I think we can have a little, let's see what we're doing time-wise now. Should we take a 10-minute break and we come back at 11? And then we'll go into the last hour of our session here today. Everybody happy with where we are at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Good. Well, let's take a little break and we'll be back. Previn will play some music for us. When the music stops, you know that we'll start again. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the last hour of session 3. Okay. I hope everybody's back. We can make a start. Previn's back. He smiled. Everybody else back? Yeah, Colleen's back. Shireen's back. Priya's back. Yeah. All right. I think we'll make a start. Let's continue. Right. So claim evidence. Claim evidence. Claim evidence. Don't forget that, right? It's the way to buff up your paper with claim evidence, claim evidence, claim evidence. And one of the ways of helping yourself to do that is often if you just make your claim in, say, in red text and then evidence in black text, or claim in blue text, evidence in green text. So to use 2 colors when you write can actually help you to for you to actually see what is your claim and then how are you putting the evidence under the claim. Chrissy Bowie once did this thing. I'll just show you. It's so cool. She said that, you know, this is your claim. Okay. So the paper here is your claim. And then beneath the claim, you've got evidence. So these fingers that are holding the paper up are the evidence that hold up the claim. So a claim is held up by evidence. In other words, evidence supports a claim. So you have a claim and then you have evidence holding that claim up. And if your evidence is weak, then your claim is likely to, like, you know, wobble around and not be very strong, right? You see what the problem is. So if you've got a claim and you've got weak evidence, that's why we ask you to say, is it a valid claim? You need strong evidence, okay, for a claim to be held up. Okay, so if you make a claim, do you have strong evidence? What's the evidence for the claim? Then make a claim. And then when you're writing, you know, write your claim in one color and put your evidence in another color, because that helps you to, you know, build the structure of what you're writing. So you can claim, you know, children really enjoyed being part of the Eco Schools program. But what's the evidence for that claim? You see, if you don't have evidence for that claim, Elijah, it won't be a strong claim. You see, it'll fall around like this. Or if Previn says to us, AI is a very important approach, new approach to strengthening ecological literacy. But if his evidence is weak, it's going to fall, right? And it won't be a strong claim. But if he can bring together strong evidence for that claim, then he's going to have a better paper, a better quality paper, right? Does that make sense? I wish I could show you. I love doing this. It just falls all over the place. But it's a good graphic way of, you know, just making the point about claim evidence. Kalongo, your hand is up.
Yes, Prof. In one of the earlier slides, you said I could support my claim either with data, you know, experience. So I've just been wondering, how do I validate an experience that I've had that supports my claim? Would that be easy to do?
Yes, if you write it up very carefully. Okay, and you're very clear about the fact that this was an experience and this is exactly what happened. And so you need to give enough detail so that people will trust that. See, because the thing about the evidence is that the evidence must be trusted. So if the evidence is weak, people can't trust your claim. You see, that's the point. If you're making a claim and your evidence is strong, people will trust it. So sometimes people use a combination of types of evidence also to hold up a claim, you know? So Previn said he's lucky he's not making the claim that AI is good for ecological literacy. So you have to get evidence. So when you make a claim, guys, you need evidence, right? Find the evidence. Where, if it comes from literature, if it comes from, you know, solid experience, if it comes from a good research, if it comes from interviews, if it comes from doing activities with children that you've monitored and captured, you've got nice photographs for them. There's your evidence, you know. So evidence comes in many forms, and you can use it to hold up your claims. Right, so that's the important point, okay? Because without doing that, you can't puff up your paper, or you'll puff up your paper, but it will just be like a kind of a wobble of stuff. So you don't want a wobble of stuff, you want a good system of claim evidence to beef up and hold your main claim. Everything in that paper holds the main claim, okay? And then it gives it more detail as you go down, you get more and more detail. So that's the way to puff up a paper, okay? Right, what do we do? How do we manage the puffing up is what I'm going to discuss now. And because you can also puff up and then you can end up with 20,000 words, right? And your paper journal only wants you to have 3,000 or 5,000 words. So what you need to do is you need to be ready for the puffing up, but you also need to be managing that puffing up, right? So how do you manage your puffing up? So one of the best ways of doing that is to build what we call a writing plan and a word budget. I love word budgets. Word budgets are just awesome. So let me show you a word budget. Oops, no. Zoom's floating panels. Let me show you a word budget. Right, writing plan and word budget. So now that you've got your idea of, you know, the claims that you're going to make after you've done your Jamboard work or your post-its, and you've got them all worked out, your claims that you can make across the different parts of the paper, that they're valid, you've got the evidence, you can kind of now do that puffing out work. The thing to do though is to not to over puff in some parts and under puff in other parts. Okay, so you need to have a good balance there of the number of words that you're writing into your word limit. And the word limit, as we've already discussed, is given by normally given by the journals. Now, some journals will give you 3,000 words, some journals will give you 5,000 words, some journals will give you 7,000 words, and some journals don't really mind if you go up to 12,000 words. Has anybody found a journal that doesn't mind if you go up to 12,000 words? No? Sometimes you find them, not often. Yeah. So yeah, check the number of words in your journal, and from there you work on your word budget. So a word budget is a simple thing, actually. It helps you to kind of what you call parcel out the amount of words that you have available for your paper. So in this case, here's an example, right? The total words that are allowed is 3,000. That's what the journal says. You can only have 3,000 words for this paper. Now, one page of writing is normally about 500 words. So you can see for a 3,000 word paper, you're going to have to write 6 pages. Okay. Now, you don't want to be writing 26 pages if you've only got a 6-page paper. You see, so it's good to like look at this and then do your word budgeting. The journal says you want a title of no more than 10 words. So that's another reason why I was telling you to just tighten up that main claim, because often that main claim is also your title or very close to your title. And next week, when we meet, we'll refine our titles. So I think when people were introducing themselves in their papers, there were some quite long titles. So, you know, think about your titles. Keep your titles tight. Title must reflect your main claim, because then people know exactly what the paper's about. Okay. So title, abstract, and for this journal, it says no more than 200 words. Keywords, we'll talk about keywords next time. And next time we'll also talk about referencing. But every journal gives you this guideline. So it's helpful to just put it on a page like this. Say, this is what the journal is expecting from me, 3,000 words, 5,000, 7,000, whatever the case may be, 500 words for abstract or 100 words for abstract. It changes. Some journals allow 15 words for a title and so on. So you need to look and see what the requirement is. Then what you need to do is you need to take your 3,000 words, these 3,000 that you allowed here, and you know to parcel them out across your paper. Okay. So if you've got a paper of 3,000 words, you don't want an introduction of 1,000 words, do you? Because your introduction needs to be relatively, you know, tight and focused so that people can get into your paper. So then you want to say, okay, well, probably an abstract introduction of about 500 words would work for a paper with 3,000 words. For describe my method, about 500 words. The results and the findings, what came out from your data, about 750 words. You can use tables and figures are often very helpful. Instead of a lot of words, you can put more words into a table, tighten up your findings, put them into a table. That helps a lot sometimes. Okay. And then your discussion is usually the one that needs more words, because in the discussion is often where you are really telling people what this is all about, and you really kind of making the punch of the paper strong. So most often the discussion uses a bit more words. Sometimes results and findings and discussion are about the same number of words. Usually you want fewer words in the beginning for introduction, context, method, and so on, because they are introductory. They're taking people into your paper. They're not the paper. Okay. So results and findings and discussion is usually where the bulk of the paper is, the body of the paper. So that's why you need to give those sections more words. Okay. Where you're telling the actual story and showing your evidence, sharing the quotes from the field, discussing what you found, all those findings that Aro was talking about. He needs space to discuss them, you see. Otherwise, all he'll be doing is listing the findings. So you need to offer a finding and discuss the finding. Finding, discuss, you see. So you need space there. So that's why it's good to kind of give the body of your paper some space around these parts, those sections of the paper. Conclusions and recommendations are usually quite short, so you can give yourself 200-300 words, 400 words, whatever. So if you're now looking across this paper and this person has got 3,000 words, already 1,000 words is used up in introduction and method, and then another 1,000 just about used up in the results and findings, and then another 1,000 more or less here. And yeah, so you'll see they'll probably even out here to about 3,000 words. So they've given themselves a word budget that's quite realistic. Most often you find yourself writing more here in these sections, results and findings and discussions. So be more generous when you're making your word budget for those particular sections. Okay. Now that is a way to also help you manage the puffing up of the paper, because you're not going to, write 20 pages if you've only got 750 words for a section. Then you have to think about, okay, so I've only got 750 words here. That's 1.5 pages to share the results and the findings. You see, so then you have to choose carefully what you're going to share. I was talking to Colleen just now in the tea room, and she was saying that the regenerative sustainability practices in the university that she observed, okay, in her study, all show up that there's a need for a systems perspective, but differently. So she's going to want to share that here, you see, from 4 case studies or 3 practices. Maybe 3 will be too many, Colleen, for your 750 words. If you're working for a 3,000 word paper, then you can just choose 2 and make the same point, you see. So that's the decision that you end up making. If you're working for a 7,000 word paper, well, then you can probably do a short description of all 4 of those practices that you observed, you see, to make your point. So it's a very much, you got to just do that, working it out. Stay close to your main number of words and then produce your word budget. So the homework that you have here is to draw up a writing plan and make your word budget. Okay, it's very important that you do that, because it will help you to, as I said, manage the the beefing up part or the puffing up part on the paper. Once you've done that, okay, we've done many things now together. We've done tiny texts, we've written abstracts, we've produced our headings, we started to write holding texts, we tell us what we want to write about. So we just like, you know, framing it up for ourselves nicely, getting the flow, getting a sense of this is what I want to do. And then today we've been talking about getting strong, getting it tight, getting it strong. So we talked about claims, argument, claim, evidence, argument, claim, evidence, argument. You see, so we've been doing that today, getting the strength tightened up a lot. And then we've also said now, okay, as you do that, you've got to fit into your word budget. You can't overwrite if you've only got that many words. So plan for that. Okay, so that's kind of where we've got to now. And now you've got to write. Okay, so now you just keep writing because you've done a lot of planning work, okay? You've done a lot of setup, you kind of know where you're heading. It's all clear to you now. Now it's write. Write and revise, and write and revise, and write and revise, okay? Because that's how we write. We write through writing and revising and writing and revising until we're happy with it. And until it fits nicely into our word budget, until our claim is strong, until the evidence is clear, and that the flow is working really nicely across the paper. So that's the next step. And if you've done all the earlier steps really well, then this step becomes much, 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 much easier. Okay, because then you won't be doing unnecessary work. You'll be focused and you'll be working very clearly and tightly into what you've planned, if your planning has been good. So that's why we spend a lot of time in this course on the pre-writing, the planning, getting everything nicely set up, planned, thought through. You can see it's taken us 2.5 sessions to get to the point of saying, okay, now you can just go ahead and write. Okay, because that's what I'm going to tell you now. You can just go ahead and write. Okay, now you just go ahead and write. So how do you just go ahead and write? Well, the only way to write is to write. Okay, there's no other way to write than to write. It sounds stupid, doesn't it? But there is no other way to write than to write. So you now just need to sit and write. And that's like just sit and write. Okay, you've got a great plan now. You've got your word budget. You've got your claims. You know what arguments you're making. You know what evidence you've got. Now you just got to sit and write. Okay, so that's the next step. Sit and write. Just write. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a very simple approach to help you to just sit and write. Okay, not be stressed about it. Every time you get stressed, then you use this approach. Okay, it's called the Pomodoro. It's a very simple little approach, and it's actually quite ridiculously silly, actually, but it's incredibly helpful. So it's called free writing, and it's free writing with what we call the Pomodoro technique. Now, Pomodoro is nothing more than a tomato. It's an Italian tomato, but actually what it is, it's a timing. The person who kind of developed it just used this little timer, and what they did is they just said, okay, what you got to do is just time yourself, give yourself 25 minutes, and in that 25 minutes, all you do is you just keep writing. You don't stop. You just write. You write. You don't stop. Okay. Then when the bell goes off, you stop. Okay. And then what you do is you'll be a bit like Malaysia. You'll look back at your work and you'll think, wow, did I write that? Okay. So it's a way to just write, is to use this particular approach. So we do have a little bit of time now. I'm going to give you guys 15 minutes for a Pomodoro exercise. A very good period of time for Pomodoros is 20 minutes. So you can do this regularly. Every day you can get up in the morning, do a 20-minute Pomodoro, write. Okay, for 20 minutes with a 20-minute Pomodoro. You can do it 10 times a day if you want to. Okay, after your Pomodoro, you stop, get up, walk around, come back, look at what you've written, do another one, get up, come back, do another one, okay? Or do 2 in the morning, do 1 at night, however much you want to. It's an incredibly helpful way to just write, Okay, because one of the things that happens when we try to write is we sit and look at our screens. I'll show you this little comic here. You see, this is what happens to us. We sit in front of the computer and you think, I need to transfer the thoughts from my head to the screen. And then you sit there and you like wait for the screen to write. And then you like knock your head on the screen. You say, write. And you can see this person is just like really waiting for the screen to do the writing for them. But of course that doesn't happen, okay? It has to come through our fingers. So it has to come through our fingers onto the keyboard or with a pen, depending how you prefer to write. So for now, we're going to do a 20-minute Pomodoro so we don't get stuck like that person waiting for the screen to write for us. We are going to write for ourselves. 20 minutes. No, 15 minutes. Okay, Previn, what's the time now?
Now it's 11:21 or 11:20.
So we'll go from 11:20 until 11:35. And we're going to, has everybody got a computer in front of them or a pen? And what you've got to do when we say, ready, steady, when we say start, then you've just got to write. Don't lift your pen, don't stop your fingers, just write. Write into one of the sections of your paper. It could be the introduction, or it could be the findings, it could be one of those sections that you've got in your mind already for the paper. It could be the theory of your paper, anything, okay? Just choose a piece of your paper that you want to write about and then just start writing. We'll tell you when to stop. Don't let anybody disturb you. Don't look at your phone. Don't do Facebook. Don't eat. Don't drink. Don't do anything. Just write. Okay, that's what a Pomodoro is. So I'm going to count down now. 1, is everybody ready? Have you got a way to write for the next 15 minutes? Are you ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. Good. And Zintle was very active. She wrote 520 words, more than one page. Well done, Zintle. Wow. Under the methodology section. So she was very focused. She went to a methodology. She wrote 520 words there. She was typing and her page is so red because her spelling needs editing, because she was just writing. She wasn't worried about the grammar or the spelling at this point. Absolutely perfect. You don't have to worry about it until right at the end. I can see, she says, from what I wrote, that I can make claims, that she can make claims, but as discussed in the previous discussion, some evidence and claims seem to be coming through, but more still needs to be done to strengthen the argument with strong evidence. So Zintle is able to see that she's that she can make claims, but she's seen that she's got some evidence just from her fast writing, but she can see that she now needs to bring in more evidence. So you can see just how useful this strategy is. So I like that, Zintle, you're not worried about your spelling now. You don't have to worry about your spelling now. You worry about your spelling at the end. You know, so many people worry about their spelling like right at the beginning, but actually you just worry about it at the end when you clean up. Our next session, we'll look at cleaning up and getting it all ready for, we'll do the polishing work next time. Now we're doing the puffing up work. Right, anybody else? What did you manage to write in that short 15-minute period? Cutty, how did you do?
I wrote 344 words, 344.
Wow.
I was using a pen,
yeah.
And then it's the A5 page, so I'm having 4 pages because I was writing under methodology. So what I realized is like I just started maybe at the end, I don't know, but I mentioned that this is the type of methodology that we're using. This is the research design, and then we collected data through pictures. The participants came to present. When I was busy writing, I remembered, who are these participants? I have to go back to think, oh, I was supposed to have put this there, that how did I get these participants? But I just continued the writing, indicating that the participants were this and this and this, and how did we form all these things. So it's like there is no beginning. I have to sit down again and put what belongs to this introduction going down just like that, but it was methodology.
Yes,
that
excellent.
I was doing. Yeah.
So now you can take that and you can sit and type it into the methodology section, and you can add all the bits that you think you should have put in. You see, it helps you to just start to construct and put the detail and see what's missing and add that in as you go.
Yeah, no,
It's
absolutely.
written now, and now you need to rewrite. Writing, rewriting, writing, rewriting. And this is such a good strategy to just get going with the writing. Anybody else want to share from this? And then we'll move into wrapping up for today.
All right, I'll share.
Yes, Ryan.
I feel like I've been slow because my paragraph was only 136 words long. But anyway, Priya and I, of course, working on a paper together. So she took a different section, which was introduction, and puffed it up quite nicely. And one following the section that I did, which was a subsection following the introduction, basically describing citizen science as a field of practice. So we've basically taken our holding text and puffed it up. But I think carefully, and we still need to go and get all the references and then add that. So our paragraphs will puff up a little bit more when we're done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's where we are. Actually, let me just check. I think Priya also did some work in scientific and governance orientated knowledge representations in a paragraph called that. So yeah, we're working as our holding text dictates.
Awesome. So that's very nice. Thank you for reminding us, because that's exactly what happens actually. You're holding text, you do pomodoros around your holding text, you expand it, you puff it up like that, and then you begin to see what you still need. You need references, you need more data, you need to really go and check your claim, you know, so you then you begin to kind of tidy up, clean up, strengthen up from what your free writes. So the free writes help you to get your voice, help you to get the line of argument going, the narrative flowing. If you write from your holding text, it's better, because remember there you've already told yourself what you want to write about. Now you're kind of launching into doing that writing, and then you do the checking and the fixing and the cleaning up and the improvement from there.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to do this free writing work, puffing up your holding text with free writing, pomodoros. Set yourself a 20-minute, just put your alarm clock on, close the door, do a 20-minute, and you'll be surprised how your project just kind of begins to grow beautifully and comes through in your voice. And then you can, you know, clean up and add data and add references and add theory and add literature and add reflection. It comes once you've kind of got the basics down. Right. Anybody else got any other insight from this activity? Oh, we're okay. All right. So I think then if I can encourage you now to continue, you see what we've been doing here. Choose a section of your paper. You've got your holding text. Go now and check your main claim, check your headings, check your holding text. Okay. Check that it's all working in a nice flow. Okay. That it's going to fit into your word budget. Get your word budget sorted out. Okay. And then launch into some of these pomodoros. So to do some pomodoros into each section. Okay. As much as you need. Okay. And then each time check yourself and say, okay, and then make notes, okay, on your Pomodoro text, say, okay, like Previn said, he needs to go and, like, you know, tidy this up with more literature. So make a note to yourself to say, I need more literature here, okay? Or like Shireen says, I need to add the references. Or like Zintle said, I need to strengthen the evidence. So you make notes to yourself around what you see. Or Aro said, I must add more from my interviews here. Or Cutty said, you know, she needs to be clearer about the where the participants are coming from. So everyone will be able to do that, because you all know what you've got and what you're sitting on and how you want to do your work. And so it gives you a way then of also knowing what to do next, because then you've seen now, okay, I need to sort this out, I need to sort that out, I need to sort that out. Or you can decide, you know, I want to do a few of these Pomodoros, and then I just want to make notes to myself what I have to do, and then I want to go and spend some time and do that. Do the cleaning up, do the literature, do the data work, you know, so get then into the next level of getting the paper kind of, you know, stronger and stronger and stronger, and claim evidence, get that strong. I would encourage you very much to color in your claims, either use highlighter or a different colored text, because it really helps you to check yourself, you know, and that your claims also, because the claims build, you know, so there's the main claim, and then there's the claim, or subclaim, you can even call them subclaims. They build the whole thing, and in between them must be, you know, literature evidence or data evidence or so on. So that's what I would like to encourage everybody to now do between now and when is our next session? I think we left quite a biggish time gap now. And the reason
1st of August.
1st of August, yes. So we've kind of left 1 to 3 weeks now, I think 3 to 4, almost 4 weeks. And so we've left a big time gap now. And that is because you're now going to need some time to just, you know, keep going with your Pomodoros, with your evidence, with this puffing up work until you get to the point of what you are happy with as a first draft. Okay, so we're not expecting the perfect paper yet. We're expecting a first draft. Okay, so a first draft is when you think you have pretty much everything in that paper that you now need, that it's more or less, doesn't have to be exactly, on your word budget. In other words, you need to get it to, you know, 3,200 words if it's meant to be 3,000 words. You need to get more or less, okay, to close to your word count. And you need to be confident that you've got your claims sorted out, that there's a flow, that the evidence that you need is in. So you want to get all of the things together into a first draft. So not perfect, first draft. Okay. Then what we want you to do is to bring your first draft to the next session, which will be then, we said early August, hey? Yeah. And so now this is the work to do, right? So please, every day, make a Pomodoro, okay? Just take 20 minutes, make a Pomodoro. You'll be surprised how much progress you make. Pomodoro and a little bit of cleaning up. Pomodoro and a little bit of cleaning up. Pomodoro, a little bit of cleaning up. Every day, just do that every day for the next 3 weeks, and you'll be absolutely surprised at what progress you make. And remember, you only learn to write by writing, and you can only write by writing. So you're just going to have to write. Okay. So take it easy, do your Pomodoros, do the fixing up, keep going. That's the job between now and next time. So it's write and revise and write and revise and write and add and clean up and fix it up until you get to a first draft. And don't get stuck. Every time you start feeling a bit stuck like this, do a Pomodoro. Okay. Anytime you get stuck, just do a Pomodoro, and just start anywhere and do a Pomodoro, and you will unstick. It helps to unstick. It helps to unstick you. So yes, writing is a social practice. Okay. We learn to write by writing. Yes. Academic writing is a social practice. We learn to do it by doing it. There is no other way. So pre-writing, we've spent a lot of time on. This is the whole writing process here. Pre-writing, we've spent a lot of time on, right? We've started to do the writing now with our structuring and our pre-writing, our holding text. All of that is writing, right? Writing your claim. So we've done a huge amount already. We've written abstracts, okay? So now you need to keep on with that. You need to then get to the end of draft 1. And then what we'll do is we'll ask you to identify a writing buddy or a friend who can help you to read your first draft. If you manage to do that before the next session, then please do that. If you get to the point where you've got a first draft and you needing somebody to give you feedback, pass it on to anybody that you feel, you know, would be kind enough to read your first draft without being rude. Okay, so find somebody who will be kind enough to read your first draft without being rude, somebody who's going to be helpful. And then ask them to read your first draft and to just tell you how it works for them. Okay, so, and get some feedback. Then in our next session, we'll then look at what to do once you've got the first draft, and we'll then start to look at, you know, rewriting the draft to get it cleaned up. And then we'll move into the technical things where, you know, Zintle said she's not worried about her spelling now, but when we get to this point, we'll be needing to worry about spelling, we'll be needing to worry about grammar, we'll be needing to worry about our referencing, we'll be needing to worry about, you know, all the technicalities that we have to do in order to get a paper polished and ready for publication. So we'll do that in our next session. The most important thing to do now is to get to draft 1. So it's ready, steady, go. Work with your writing plan, your word budget, and your abstract, your main claim, and have them at hand, always next to you on the table, right? As you write, have them right next to you because they help you to stay focused. Make your subheadings, use your holding text, free write whenever you get stuck. Use the Pomodoro technique, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You can see how much we did just in 15 minutes. And try to aim for 500 words a day. Okay, that's 1 page a day. Okay, try to aim for that. So if you managed 324, like Cutty did in 15 minutes, Cutty, you can do twice that and you can get 500 words a day. Okay, so 2 15-minute Pomodoros and you've got your 500 words a day. So aim for 500 words a day, all right? Because what you need then is you need then the other time to start cleaning it up and adding to it. So go for that, 500 words a day. And just remember that even the greatest authors write their books word by word, 1 page a day. Okay, it doesn't happen otherwise. So, and then just to remember that the first draft is not the last draft, okay? So the first draft will be the first kind of view of this beautiful piece of work that you're bringing to us in one place, everything in one place. Your very best shot, first draft. It's not the last draft. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to give each other feedback. We're going to read each other's work. We're going to, you know, help you to improve the work so that you can get it polished and ready for publication. And that will be our next step. So as you go along, do try to find other people who can help you read your work and who can give you comments. And always see peer review as a helpful process. That's why I've said, look for somebody who's not going to be nasty. Look for somebody who's going to, you know, kindly read your text. And you can ask them, can you kindly please read my text? I'm not looking for a devastating critique. I'm just looking for a first response to my draft. See, so help them to know that this is a first draft and that you just want a little bit of feedback. You don't want, you know, everybody to break it down, and tell them that you're not worried about spelling, you're not worried about grammar, that you're going to do later. Okay, but just explain to them what you're doing so that they can also help you in a helpful way. And if you can't find a helpful person, then you can let me and Gamu know. Gamu, I think we'll still try to hold every Friday morning open for you guys. She can open the platform. If you need somebody to, you know, help you to read your work, we can ask Gamu. She's extremely helpful and very good at this kind of work. And I think I will ask her if she can just open every Friday morning for anybody who wants feedback on their work as they're going along. If you've got any questions, anything at all, if you're struggling with anything, then ask. It helps to ask, okay? It doesn't help to hide away. You can also form writing groups, like some of you already have. See, Priya and Shireen are working together. Cutty and Kat are working together. They're both working on different papers, but they're working together. So if there's people that are near you or that you kind of know, You could just ask them, can I make a writing group with you so that we can just check in with each other each week? I want to share some of my stuff with you. You share some of your stuff with me. Okay. And you can just do it, simply share one page, get some feedback. You can share your methodology section, get some feedback. Okay. So I'm not going to be forcing anybody to ask into writing groups. I think you need to choose and make your own writing groups if you feel you want to have a writing group. But please feel free to put in the chat maybe. Maybe let's do that now. Let's just say if anybody feels like they would like a writing buddy between now and next time, just pop your name in the chat. And then if anybody sees you and also wants a writing buddy, they can maybe team up with you. Everybody's emails are there. Kalongo is looking for a writing buddy. Anybody else looking for a writing buddy? Put your name in the chat. Nobody else, only Kalongo wants a writing buddy. Okay, Kalongo, I'll ask Gamo if she would be your writing buddy. And then you can connect with her and just jump on Zoom, have a chat to her, pass your stuff to her. She can give you feedback and so on. Okay. Right, so that's where we are. We kind of like right here, okay, at the end of our third session. Can you believe it? Amazing. And this is our work. Stick to your writing plan. You can revise it as you need. So if you find you need like 800 words instead of 700 words in that section, revise it. You can adjust, okay? Write every day if you can, 200 to 500 words, free write, and then clean up, share, get feedback, make writing circles, join the writing circle on Friday mornings. I'll ask Gamo just to open that for you. And then come to the next section with your best version of draft 1. And that is your word garden, your first part, your first version of your word garden. We've moved from tiny texts and we're nearly at word gardens. So well done to all of you. And I am looking forward to these papers. And in the meantime, if you still have abstracts to submit, please submit them to Colleen. Remember that the whole course is on the Miro board. You can find it there. The PowerPoint that I've been presenting here, you can download from there if you want to revisit it. If you struggle to do that, I can also email the PowerPoint out again so that you've got everything that you need at hand in order to keep going. Okay, so keep checking that you're building your argument, making your claim, that you can support your claim, that you've got a clear flow. Don't try to do too much. Make one point clearly across the paper. Rather do that than having too many things going on in one paper, and rather use Priya's strategy. Make 2 papers or 3 papers if you've got a lot going on. Put one over there on that, another one over there on that one, and then focus on this one for this first draft. Does that work for everybody? Yeah?
Yes, works.
I think, let me just stop sharing. Oof. Never know how to do all of the Zoom stuff. Stop sharing. Okay, so I think from my side, well done to everybody. And you guys are making a lot of progress. I can hear it in the way that you're talking about your work. And I can hear it and see it in what's coming through. So keep going, and we'll see each other next time, and we'll start looking at that, you know, the polishing part. So puffing up for now, polishing later. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for all the hand claps. Goodbye, and have a lovely day further.
You, bye.
Cheerio, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers, everybody. So Priya, I'm going to just catch you for a few seconds now.